Welcome back, everybody, to Hunt, and today we shall be hunting the fanged beast, the Rajang. God damn it. The Rajang is one of the two fanged beasts that you can hunt and muster onto world Iceborne. And the second fanged beast that you can also hunt is its variant, the fierce Rajang. So it might as well be a unique enemy that has a lot of conceptually interesting concept, but are also unequivocally, unbelievably, undeniably one of the most infuriating factors you could ever try in fights in this entire game. So let's go through all of them one by one and figure out which is good, which is bad, which I like, which I mostly don't like, and how we should go about fighting this beast to begin with. So first of all, Rajang is a four-legged beast that is mostly, it's got beefed up in the torso, but less so in the legs. You have a lot of interesting design elements here, but it does fall into the category of being an animal beast that, while being ultra powerful, is very, very conceptually designed from its original concept. What I mean by that is specifically that he is very easily inspired. You can easily see how he was inspired to begin with. And unbelievably aggressive of a monster to fight. Not only fast, but also ultra hard to catch. That's the bullshit hitbox, and you will see a lot more during this hunt specifically. So let's talk quickly about the kit of the Rajang, see how it goes and how he does. The Rajang has a surprisingly interesting kit of moveset, and the problem doesn't come from its kit in itself and its moveset and how it uses it and how the hitboxes are done, although I do have a few problems about it. The main issue with Rajang is how he follows up hitting, how he does not let go. As per most smaller monsters in this game, they are ultra fast and aggressive. Think the Otogaron, where he goes from one move to the other, the Zenogre, that kind of monster, where they're relatively smaller, slightly smaller, but are a lot faster, even the Kirin. But the Rajang basically does not have an end lag. The Rajang can go for 6 to 7, maybe even 10 moves before they actually get some hand lag. So here you go, that's one attack going into another. You will directly go from this to a sidestep to a charge, onto a backstep, onto another charge without pretty much any end lag. And it takes a long amount of time before he even goes off into a shrugging animation as he basically regains a little bit of the hair back in his fur. The Rajang can go Super Saiyan! Not only that, when he gets into Super Saiyan, you have a very limited amount of time to knock him off of that Super Saiyan mode before he goes Ultra Beast and hardens his forelegs to be a lot more devastating. It's a phase fight that shifts and you need to be ultra fast and aggressive with how you fight him, which is unfortunate because the rule of thumb with most fast and aggressive monster is that if you want to make the fight easier, you have to be just as aggressive, if not more aggressive than the monster itself. Rajang does not apply to this scenario. He has what we call the death zone. In fact, here's a picture right now. If you stand in front in that range, you will always be dead in a matter of seconds while you're fighting a Rajang. What you want to do as much as possible is stay by the sides, if not possible, stay behind. He also has about 1 to 2 moves that cover his hind legs or its tails, meaning that if you have to fight him, you have to fight him into these kinds of conditions in order for you to have a good time. So that's the moveset of Rajang. A lot of backstep, a lot of sidestepping, a lot of charges, a lot of swinging about the monkey fist. He even has a move where he jumps into the air, goes yo-yo style, and smack down on your ass. And also he has the welcome to the jam move, the John Cena tumble, if you know what I mean. See that? That's what I just said, the fucking yo-yo. And surprisingly enough, he also has 2 projectile type attack. One which is firing by laser, and the other one that's just like electric boogaloo. Really confusing. He's also a lightning element monster, and if you look at his weaknesses specifically, he is an extremely elementally weak monster to ice, like surprisingly so. In fact, you know what? Let's pull up the stats right now, since we already know about the phases of the Rajang. So if we look at it, he has an average of 36, but what's really interesting is when you could look at elemental damage, he's 100% immune to both lightning, fire, and dragon, which is really rare for just a monster to be immune to an element altogether. But 3 separate elements in water basically does nothing, meaning that ice is theoretically your only option if you're an elemental bid. With that said, Iceborne is fairly very generous when it comes to ice weapons, so that shouldn't be an issue to begin with, especially during your first clear. But even so, you have no reason not to bring in ice, and you're kind of fucked if you bring anything else, because you won't get any additional bonuses outside of that, while most of the monsters you do. If you look at hits on value, a 36 on average, which is a 60 on the head, which that is mediumly juicy, which feels like it should be a lot more, but that's my personal idea. The body at a solid 30, the arms at 43, the arms during the rampage become rock hard at a solid 10. That is amongst, if not equaling, the lowest hit zone value in the entire game. Not only that, every shot you take, even with a purple sharpness weapon, will bounce off the arms of the Rajang. It's so unbelievably hard. The legs at the 25, the tails at 35, and where we go into a little bit of an interesting Easter egg, which is the tail during the rampage at 47. Here's the thing, the best way to knock off Rajang off of his rampage state, and or in just his Super Saiyan state, is to smack the tail, which I do believe is an Easter egg that comes back to Dragon Ball in the Oza reform. Which, if you haven't watched Dragon Ball, you should. It's a great show. It's a great shonen show. But that's just a really cool conceptual idea that you need to hit a certain body part in order to de-rage a monster. We saw something similar with the Zenogre, where hitting him with the elements staggers him out of his basically charged state. And Rajang has something similar, but you need to aim for a very specific body part. And I do enjoy that the body part is on the back of his body, which is the least lethal point of fighting a Rajang. My problem is that going behind the Rajang is already an extremely hard thing to accomplish. And the tail has such a small window of attacks. Most of the attacks that you will try to aim specifically at the tail, you'll hit the hind legs instead. And that tail hovers quite a bit, and it's so annoying to try and actually get, which that's my first problem. My second problem is you even get tracking like this on a super move, the Welcome to the Jam Slam. So there's just a lot of really bad things about Rajang in general. Again, he's probably conceptually one of the most unique, if not most unique, standard design fight in the entire game. The problem is that everything about it is infuriating, which we'll see about in a couple seconds, where if you manage to stagger the Rajang, like if you manage to actually deal enough damage that he can be exhausted into a state where he needs to back off, which is where most monsters drools, the Rajang does something slightly different. He bounces back off of a wall if he gets knocked into one. So the most amount of punish you can do on a monster is usually when it's down, and they usually give you a big window when it's drooling or staggered or toppling or tripping or whatever. The Rajang denies that ability for you to punish it. He's such an aggressive monster to begin with that any opportunity of downtime is usually huge, so the only possible areas when you need to fight the Rajang is in open ones, nowhere near a wall, which is where you get the least amount of leverage. He's not a good design fight. He's not interesting to fight. He's annoying to fight. He's annoying to solo. If you're playing in multi, he keeps aggroing to different people all the time, making him one of the most infuriating monsters to chase about because he's also so fast! Not only that, but he has so many moves and abilities where he can tremor stun lock you like this, roar stun lock you to death super unbelievably easy without you being able to do anything. And even if you make correct prediction about his move patterns and you specifically counter a specific attack and repositioning yourself correctly, since he basically doesn't have any end-lag moves or where you can punish a move that he overextends with, it's nearly pretty much impossible to come back from that because he punishes you from these. Rajang is such a great conceptual idea for the game. It really is. It's such a different fight with an interesting skeleton to fight. But holy fucking shit, the team at Monster Hunter World did a great job bringing in an old monster and giving him new kit. This was just not the way to go about it. And that is legitimately very heartbreaking to say. We'll see you all on another hunt.